eyeball, it's okay to chasing the eyeball for a while until you figure out the monetization. It's not just Twitter. There's so many startups out there that's sort of social media based.
I think it's dangerous to analogize to 1999-2000 too closely for a bunch of reasons. Among them is we were all accessing the internet through 9600 baud modems, which if you've ever had to do that recently, you wonder how any web company could ever succeed. But a lot of the ideas that were started then actually have been reconstituted or recapitulated today, where broadband is pervasive. I want to follow just a quick digression on one of Mark's points. The way I describe it because I get pitched by people who in their pitch say we're a social media site. And back in, I'm old and decrepit, so I remember the 90s. People used to pitch venture capitalists by saying we're a web company, as if the web were a market or a set of customers, and the web isn't. It's a communications platform. And I analogize it today that you would never pitch any of us on this panel today by saying we're a web company. In fact, if you did that, it would be a negative because the first thing we'd ask is, well, why aren't you a converged company with a mobile strategy from getting out of the gate? But I'm sure back in I'm going to probably get the wrong decade, in the teens or the 20s, people pitched investors by saying, we're a telephone company, or our business is leveraged because of the telephone. But now today, you would never think of advertising your business as we use the telephone. So this technology is really, to Mark's point, helps people communicate in ways that they've always been doing, but just in a more powerful way. Back to the topic or the question, I think the answer to how do you monetize social media lies in the fact that you monetize social media businesses the way you monetize any other business that uses communications technologies. You have media opportunities where you aggregate audiences and show them ads. You have affiliate marketing opportunities, what you hear called lead gen opportunities more these days. You have e-commerce opportunities. And all of those exist on and offline, but they're just leveraged more in today's sort of online or converged media market.
So social media, it's definitely not a fad. If you look at the course of human history, anything that increases your ability to communicate is going to be adopted. I rolled it into Iraq in 2003. Within a year, almost everyone in that country had mobile phones. If you look at what you're building, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to be the next Twitter, the next Facebook, or you want to leverage this, if you can reduce friction in communication, if you can make it easier to communicate, if you can give people greater distribution and rewards, think about this. Think about the change from the telegraph to the phone. Telegraph, I send out a message, and you wait hours or days for a response. In the phone, I could pick up a phone and have a response. That's a reward. There's also about distribution as at scale. Not going to be a fad, but social media is so broad. It's like saying, is broadcast going to go away? No, broadcast is not going to go away. Social media is not going to go away. But if you're an entrepreneur, think about, does your technology allow a user to communicate quicker, to give them more distribution, or to get rewards? And there's a lot of other factors in there, but social media is just a very broad trend about people connecting with each other in a asymmetric or symmetric relationship. And maybe there's new plays out there, but social media, the course of human history will tell you it's not going away.
I like the term sharing enabled. It's where audio meets video meets text. And if you look at the multitude of platforms involved in this and how it affects our lives, I'm going to go back to some more statistics because that's what I feel comfortable with. 80% of the businesses out there are using social media to recruit. They're using it in HR. I mean, it's become fundamental to our processes. 50% of the mobile traffic in the UK is through Facebook. YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. It's all encompassing. If you look at how TV went about, or the time it took television to capture, say, an audience of 50 million, we're talking about 30, 40 years. Facebook has captured 200 million users in a year. And again, it just gives you a sense of how it's the enormity of this space.
So what area are you most excited about?
I'm excited about great entrepreneurs. Full stop. I mean, I don't invest in social media companies because it's not a category that exists to me. It is a secular trend, as Paige said, that's not going away, that persists across everything, that gives new opportunities for reaching out to new clients. So for me, it's a new way of people connecting, and it's a new way to market to people, but it's going to be pervasive, and it's not a separate category for me.
What on the street said that you would not invest in anything but an ad network? Is that true?
Someone said I wouldn't invest in anything other than an ad network? I've invested in plenty of companies that aren't ad networks. I would say that what's that? Okay, that's personal investments, but even professional investments. Ring Revenue is not an ad network. Awesome is not an ad network. We invested in a company called Gyroscope Technologies, not an ad. Not an ad network. So I think in my portfolio I have 2 ad networks, and that's it. So whoever told you that, I had the wrong data. It was Paige.
This is a popular question to ask panels like this, and sometimes people will say, well, I like a certain area. I think Mark's answer is the right one, which is, and he's actually an entrepreneur, I'm not even an entrepreneur, is you get out and meet a bunch of interesting entrepreneurs and find out what they're excited about, and that's how you figure out what the hot areas are.
So I have like a whole moleskin of ideas I'd like to see people build. Bit broad strokes. I think, going back to social media, the vast amount of information being thrown out there, I would love to see someone doing infographics for life. If I could catch up with my friends and very quickly look at a snapshot of a day or a week or a month or a year, what someone's been into, if you could suck in Foursquare and Twitter and all that social media crap and very quickly visualize it, infographics are hot for me because I think we're being run over by so much data these days. The people that can summarize that. I mean, you look at Flipboard, completely an interface, but it presents information beautifully. So I think there will be companies out there that can present this complex, dynamic, real-time set of information. And you talk about going into instantaneity. So that interests me. I'm hot on SMBs. I think we're at a point where 2/3 of small and medium businesses have websites. The Facebook, Twitter graph has integrated companies into our lives, and you can finally sell to small and medium businesses. So I invested in a company like StyleSeat, LapStub. They serve the small and medium business sector, and I think there's a huge opportunity for founders to deliver software and platforms to small and medium businesses. Those are hot for me. I also would love to see a dating site where rather than paying a membership fee, I could simply pay for a date, real time. I go to Boston, and $10, $20, $50, complete rev split with the girl, with the guy, whatever. Paydate.com. I would love to see that, and I have a whole moleskin of ideas.
I'm not sure anyone will pay to date you, though, Paige. That's the problem.
Those services are available in every major city, Paige. Actually, one area that I think is interesting, having said I don't have, is my kids are in their early 20s, and when they look at me sitting at my desk using Outlook, they think that I'm brain dead, because Outlook, you can only do one thing at a time, you can't multitask. And I think the social media, so Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, texting, that they grew up on, and they're even, I think, at the senior end of the demographic, as those people get into the workforce and workplace, the kinds of enterprise applications, so to speak, that you're going to have to keep them engaged, they're going to be quite different than the enterprise applications that exist today.
You know, absolutely. I think, Mark, you said it before. No more data. Mark said it's the entrepreneur for us. We all see a ton of ideas a week. Ideas are really a dime a dozen. We're looking for that entrepreneur that understands the journey and the life cycle of starting a company and seeing it through. That is so true. Back in terms of trends, what we're seeing, what we like to see, I think there's a particular interest among our investors for, there's so much data and information out there. There are 200 million blogs out there. How do you sift through that data and find out what people are saying? What are they saying about your product? Procter & Gamble wants to know. Small companies want to know that are helping to build their brand. So technologies, tools that enable you to sift through the detritus, if you will, and pull out, extract what people are saying about your product or service. Very important.
So Paisha said that crowdsourcing is a big area for him as well. So we kind of briefly mentioned about how people can reach you through social media. You talk a little bit about what excited you. Before we go to Q&A, I wanted to ask kind of one quick question. What is the number one thing that would drive you away from a deal?
Real quick, I think we should elaborate on crowdsourcing. I think it used to be that they used to get together focus groups and determine, do you like this? Do you like the Snickers with peanuts or less peanuts? Today, it's crowdsourcing, and you can almost instantaneously, get information out there and get feedback, and that's so important.
Big turnoff on a deal for me, and it may be unique, but I don't like teams that don't have tech as part of their DNA. I see too much of that in LA. Oh, I got 3 buddies. We got together. We found a firm to build the software for us. As soon as we raise funding, we're going to build a tech team. Non-starter.
It's a good question. I guess in order to give an answer, since we have to give an answer, it's entrepreneurs who don't engage in a conversation with you in the meeting, but they're either lecturing you or certainly not listening. And I don't expect people to, the purpose of the meeting is not for me to preach to them or tell them what to do, but people who don't engage in a conversation, who you can tell aren't listening, don't get a second meeting.
See, I think my biggest turnoff is probably founders that just don't like, and no, it's true. I mean, it's a long relationship. When you commit to be an investor, it's not just money. It's years of work with a founder. And the reason I don't like you is not because you smell or you have bad taste in art or whatever. I may not like your vision. I may not think you're very intelligent. I may not think you're thoughtful. I may not think there's so many things. But I think it's an important decision for something to communicate to other angel investors, is to realize that when you throw that check over the rail, this is someone you have to work with. You can't divorce yourself from that responsibility. So I really look at people that if I got a call at 2 in the morning, I would take that call and want to help them. So, and back to Mark's point about the people are very important. I wouldn't say that the people are the only thing. I do like brilliant ideas, but I have to like you. If there's some chemistry, if I don't want to sit down, have drinks with you, and do business with you, I'm not going to sign up for 3 to 8 years of helping you out.
It's been said. Let me say a couple of things about what I like. I like entrepreneurs with an incredible amount of optimism. I like people who are willing to take or listen to others' ideas, that are capable of running that course of, we might have started out with X and it's going to turn into Y, and I have that flexibility. People who surround themselves with people who are smarter than them and are open to those ideas. Those are all big tell signs for us.